Oh my gosh.
Nearly 90 major companies have pledged to cut greenhouse gas emissions. The companies have a collective market capitalization of more than $2.3 trillion. While some experts have expressed skepticism whether the companies that prioritize shareholder value can follow through on the climate commitments, the companies have also been under internal pressure from investors to reduce environmental impact.
Let me tell you something that must be registering. Companies don't do anything unless it either makes or could potentially not doing it loses them money.
That's it.
And that is becoming a mantra. They're not like when somebody, I think Mitt Romney said corporations are people too. They're not.
No, they're not. They're numbers.
They're machines.
That's it. All numbers.
But even that machinery needs things to exist.
If that corporation's a person, it's a sociopath.
That's right. Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't feel pain. It doesn't feel.
No.
But I will say that they either think that it can cost them money or make them something.
Yeah. And in those two instances, they will make a decision.
Sure.
They'll buy a company that they'll buy the companies that oppose each other. They just only worry about one thing. But it's amazing how we can see the effects of what's happening environmentally. We can see the effects of it, whether we choose to do anything about them or not. Look at what happens in Houston. Look at what happens in California with these fires.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Look at what happens with these weather patterns. Look how devastating. Look at the Bahamas. Now, I'm not saying that some of those are not, just natural cyclical things, but you have to. Everybody who says that the environment is impacted, that we are doing things that impact our environment to our detriment, is a scientist. Everybody who says that it isn't happening is paid by somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can clearly just look at the weather patterns. You can look at what's happening to the ecosystem. You can look at what's happening in the ocean. And if you, even just going back historically, you can tell that it gets hotter sooner.
Yeah.
It gets cooler way into sometimes December and all of that, from just think about your childhood all the way till now.
Just think, if you're thinking about your childhood, remember when they used to have 2 a days you were playing football and Hell Week?
Yeah.
That's not because people are softer, because people dying.
Yeah, right.
I'm not even kidding. You know what? Now it's just too hot.
I couldn't survive it now.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
couldn't survive
last year
through
it
that,
was 110 every day.
So we used to have 2 a days and Hell Week.
Sure did.
But if on a very basic level, if you don't understand nothing else, you played football, right?
Yeah.
You went to Hell Week, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't let your son go to Hell Week in the Valley.
No, it's over.
You're right.
No.
Not because you saw, because
because
it's hot as
he's
hell.
gonna pass out.
That's
out
right.
there.
And he could die.
Yeah.
It's so bad now that if you got a relative back east that's not near their cell phone, and you just happen to say, you know what, California fell off into the ocean, they'll go check.
Right.
They'll go check. They have to believe that because we are so close to disaster.
Right.
Yeah.
But even the way that things are, like when people say kids don't go out and play anymore, have you been? It's like playing.
It's hot.
I'm famous for playing golf in the heat.
Oh yes.
These look at me like,
He be out there with long pants on and 108.
It was
And not even sweating. You're like, are you human?
But he ain't gonna wear no socks.
drink some water.
Yeah, it was the hottest day of the summer, and every hour we were calling him like, drink Gatorade,
Yeah.
do this. What are you doing?
It's hot for like you. Just even the way that we grew up. If you played any sports, outside sports, you realize that there are things you can't do now.
Yes.
No.
And it's not because children are anatomically different. Their physiology, co-makeup is different. It's because there's something environmentally.
The ozone is different.
It's different.
It was
This son is
Hitting you
angry.
didn't.
Yeah.
It was so hot. They were like, "Don't go to the ocean and don't get in your pool."
Right.
Last summer, like
Well, if you think about the fact that they were closing those Mississippi beaches because they couldn't
Yeah.
go, but that had nothing to do with heat, everything to do with algae because of the ecosystem in that.
First off, any beach in Mississippi is man-made.
Shut up. Anyway, Tinder is launching a Choose Your Own Adventure style series where users will be able to match with others through an interactive narrative. The Swipe Night series will consist of short 5-minute videos during which users are periodically given 7 seconds to choose what happens next. Now, once the adventure is completed, users will be matched together depending on which moral and practical choices they make.
Right. As long as that swiping ain't and to get a culture Avenger. My adventure is to avoid chlamydia. How about that?
Right.
And then we do it. No? And then we do it. No?
Not yet.
Then we do it now.
And see, they would match you with somebody who was doing that too.
Swipe penicillin.
There you go.
Swipe
Welcome to
Z-Pack. Swipe.
Z-Pack Weekend.
A huge fire at a cattle breeding facility in Australia has caused thousands of dollars in damage after at least 100 cylinders containing bull semen was destroyed. Now, the fire caused the liquid inside the cylinders to expand rapidly and caused the tops to pop off, sending projectiles from the building. The actual cylinders are worth about $500 to $1,000 per unit, but the semen inside, far more.
Let me tell you something.
Semen's on fire.
So who was out in the parking lot pricing it?
Here's what people don't understand. Somebody does that job.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody had to fill those cups.
Somebody does that job. Whoever does that job is somebody you do not want to kick out of your country.
Well,
No.
Oh,
They're
man.
the most horrible jobs, and that would be a horrible job.
That's
That
right.
If you've ever
qualify.
seen it,
Timmy, quit
it's
jacking around and go to work.
horrible.
Right. There would be a horrible job, right?
Right.
But there are people who will do that job and not say one thing about it, right?
Yeah.
If you're look at how, have you ever been to a poultry? It's just like
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
there are people, dirty jobs. It comes on.
Yeah.
But when somebody would do a job like that,
You
those
need
are the
them.
last people you want to
Right.
kick out of your country.
Yeah,
They
we
need to be-
need you.
Yes.
Right.
Because nobody's going to do
Right.
those jobs. Nobody's going to want to do those jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything it's the underbelly when you when you take
Right.
out like it
Come
go
on.
yeah. How was that? How
You
was-
got to get them started.
Come
Who
on.
They
else
do
is
it
gonna put their
themselves.
hip galoshes on and wade in,
Come on
waist
now.
deep in the bull, whatever it
Yeah,
is?
not me.
I don't
Nah,
need that visual.
They
Don't
need to be
stop
wearing
it.
a Z-Pack
that
hazmat
that
suit.
long glove to go up to your
Man.
shoulder.
Yeah.